Okay, let's get started. What I'm going to be doing here essentially is showing you how I do what I do when I listen to music and I tab it out and figure out what the notes are. And it's playing by ear, and it helps to have some musical talent to begin with, but you can really train your ear and learn how to listen to music to figure out what the notes are of your favorite songs. It just takes for some practice, and you just have to do it a lot until you get used to it. But you'll find that a lot of the same chords will be used in groups together. You'll find patterns all over the place, and you'll begin to see things, it's really not that complicated once you do a few songs. But we're going to start. What I do when I'm listening to a song and I'm trying to figure out what the notes are and I'm listening to it, the first thing you need to listen for is the bass note, because that's what everything is built on. Your chord will most likely be the name of the chord will be most likely the bass note that you'll have. Now, you'll either have that in the bass guitar, and when you listen to music, sometimes you can't hear the piano part, but you'll hear the bass guitar, and most of the time that note that the bass guitar is playing will be the piano note that you need to do on your left hand. And if you can hear the piano bass note, that's even better. Then you can play exactly, be sure what the piano note is. So that's the first thing you have to do when you listen to music. And that, I'm talking about things like, just kind of chording along. A lot of songs have that, just chunk, 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 basic chords. And that's what we're going to start with, because that's the simplest thing. So you want to listen for that bass note to begin with. And then after you get that, and I'm going to show you how to do all this. I just want to go through first, and then we'll actually try this out on some songs. But the second thing you want to do is listen to the top note, which is the highest note in the chord, or the pinky note in the right hand. Because most chords are just 3-note chords. You can have 4-note chords and more than that, but 99% of the time it's going to be a 3-note chord that you're going to be playing with your right hand. And you want to listen to the top note. Don't try to figure out what the chord is first. Listen for that top note, whatever it is, and it will come out. You'll be able to hear that. That'll be the most prevalent note, because our ear will automatically kind of go to the soprano note, the top note, automatically. And then after you have that, you'll have the bass note, the lowest note, and you'll have the highest note. And then what you want to do after that is fill in the middle. Now, most of the time when you're playing, kind of chord stuff and singing along, the left hand will be in an octave, which means you'll have, if you figure out that the first note is a G, the bass note is a G, and most likely it's going to have, a thumb G too. It'll be an octave, or it might have a fifth in the middle. And all a fifth is if you go up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and you put that D in the middle, you have the fifth there. Most often your left hand's going to be doing some sort of pattern with that octave and a fifth. So that's how you fill in the middle there. So you have the outermost notes. Let's say we figured out the top note was a G in the right hand. Okay, and we figured out probably the bass note that we hear is the name of the chord, a G chord. We put our fifth in the middle. Then we fill in the right hand. So we already have one note. All we need is 2 more. Okay? So, and there's lots of, things we could do. We could do it, if we're just doing, you kind of have to, poke around and find the right sound. But you fill in the middle just by listening, and a lot of it's just, playing the music and then stopping it, and then going to your piano and say, oh, that sounds right, that's what it is. And that's really what you have to do. You have to just get down there to the ground roots and start that way. So right hand is usually a 3-note chord, and we'll get into that, whether it's a major or minor, augmented or diminished, and so forth. And then the fourth thing we're going to do is tab it out. And remember, I'm going to go all through this all again step by step with examples, and we can actually put this to work. But the next thing you want to do is tab it out. And when you tab it out, what I mean, we're just going to do what I do on the board. Put a line across, and everything on the bottom is left hand, everything on the top is right hand. And you want to take one beat at a time. Don't, just do, try to do too much at one time, 2 or 3 measures. Just take one beat, just that very first chord, and get that chord nailed, and then you can go on and, after that. So take one thing at a time. There's 2 ways you can do it. Some people like to do all right hand, so you have that line on your piece of paper, and you go through and write down all the top notes that you hear on the right hand, because we were doing the top note, and then then you go back, and where the bass notes are, then you can do all the left all the way through for a certain amount of measures. Or some people like to do the right and left together. So if they hear one chord, they want to get that right and left hand down first, and then go to the next one and do right and left hand. So you can do it either way there. And again, this is just the first video. In the next videos in this series, I'll actually go through and show you and have examples of how to listen and how to figure this stuff out. But and the fifth thing is people have a lot of trouble with rhythms a lot of times because they try to count, do the counting, because we've had traditional music piano lessons, which is great. But in the end, rhythms are just felt. We just feel a rhythm, we hear it, and we do it. And we just play it by feel when it comes down to it. So you want to really listen to the rhythm on the song that you're trying to transcribe. Really listen to it. And then after you really get that in your ear, then you try to feel it yourself instead of trying to count out the beats and stuff. I know that sounds kind of abstract, but when we go through it in the other series that will follow, I'll show you how to do it in different styles. One way will be chord playing, another will be kind of an arpeggiated style like Elton John does. So we'll do lots of good stuff like that. So this is the first video. Make sure you copy this down and have it, because I really do use this whenever I'm trying to figure out a song, whether it's really easy or really difficult. I have those 5 steps there. So this is video 1, and copy this down, then you can do video 2.